Hey guys, how's my team doing? Team room 219. Missing you guys here. So, I got my Philly socks on. If you guys can see them, you know I like to dress up so it makes us feel like we're at school, but you know I'm going shoeless. I'm wearing the Philadelphia Phillies baseball team socks in lieu of the springtime because if we were in normal times right now, the Phillies would be starting their season. So, what we're going to do is I'd like all of you, if you have your My Book in front of you, you can look in the table of contents to look for the titled story, A Bumpy Ride. You can do that right now. The author is Sam Katz Cooper. And the illustrator or part author as well, it's part author is Rachel Young, and then it's illustrated by Ariane Islamak. If you had a chance to look at your table of contents, awesome job. For those of you who did not get a chance, the story starts on page 227. The skill that we're going to be working on in this particular lesson is making and confirming predictions. I attached to this specific assignment the poster board for making and confirming predictions. Now I know that we've done this quite a bit throughout the course of the year, but what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to take a look at the cover page of this story, A Bumpy Ride. Look at the illustrations. Right now, before even looking into the story, I want you to write down a prediction in your My Book. I want you to write, and you can do it in the notes section, or I know some of you guys have another copybook that you use to write down your questions and annotations. That's fine as well, but I think the most efficient way is to put it right in your notes section. So please make a prediction about what you think is going to happen in this story. I'm doing mine right now in my head. Okay, so let's get started here. I want you guys to take notice on page 228. There is a blue strip with wheels on it, and the year is 1818. So this is going to be an informational text. We've read a lot of these. The year 1818, for my math people out there, how long ago was that? We're in 2020. If we jumped back 100 years, it would be 1920. If we jump back another 100 years to give us 200 years, it would be 1820. And then how many more do we have to go to get to 1818? 202 years ago. You're going to see it's called chronological order. You've heard that word before, but we're going to go in chronological order. From 1818, we're going to work our way to present day. So with no further ado, let's get started. Paragraph 1. You know how to ride a bike. Just hop on and start pedaling. But what if your bike didn't have pedals or brakes? How did bikes get started? A German forest ranger named Karl von Drass wanted a faster way to roam around the woods. His contraption, vocab word, called a dressine, he named it after himself, of course, didn't have pedals. It was more like a sit-on scooter. Special schools sprang up to teach people how to ride these hobby horses. Only the rich could afford them, and the dirt roads, meant for real horses, were too rough for comfortable riding. A couple of things that I want you guys to do right now. Anything that's in quotations, I want you to write that into your notes section. So hobby horses were in quotations. Please put that in your notes section. I also want you guys to take into consideration, it's 1818, 202 years ago. Were there normal roads like we see out, paved roads that you could just run, bike, anything on? Did they have those in 1818? It's a question that you need to ask yourself right now, because that last sentence it gives us a hint on, oh, okay, maybe it was a little different back then than it is today. Let's move up to 1821. So we were in 1818 and now we jumped to 1821. How many years is that? 1818, so you would have 1819, 1820, 1821. So 3 years later. The hobby horse needed more oomph, but people didn't believe you could balance on two wheels without your feet touching the ground. One solution was a hobby horse with a handlebar you pulled to make the front wheel spin faster. These awkward machines were not a hit with anyone but mail carriers. They used them for deliveries. Now here's something interesting that you could think about. Mail carriers, our mailman and mailwomen, not really much has changed from what they're doing now. I mean, obviously some of them ride cars, but a lot of them you see with mail carriers still to this day. So that's pretty interesting to think that it was that long ago and something that's still similar to us in today's world. Pretty cool. So just to get you guys caught up, if you're not on the right page now, we're on page 230. Now, we bumped up now even further to 1839. So if you remember, we went from 1818 to 1821. We moved up 3 years, and now we went from 1821 to 1839. So how many years is that? So if you're at 1821, you can make a 10, jump up 10, that's 1831, and then you have to go up, another 8 spots to 1839. So 18 years later. Kilpatrick Macmillan, a Scottish blacksmith, built the first real bicycle. It had foot pedals that turned the back wheel. It reached top speeds of 14 miles or 23 kilometers per hour. But the pedal-powered bike was harder to steer. Macmillan caused the first bike wreck when he plowed into a crowd of people and knocked down a small child. So, if you look at the illustration, it does look very similar to the bikes that we see in today's world, but it's a cool little picture of like a little kid. So obviously safety became a concern, and we know by our 3 B's, be safe, be respectful, be responsible. You always want to be safe. So this bike wasn't as safe as some of the ones that we are probably going to see as we move forward. So we're at 1839, now we're jumping up to 1861. So let's think, let's jump by 10. So 1839, 1849 is 10, 1859 is 20, 1860, 1861. So 22 years jumping forward here into 1861. A French carriage maker named Pierre Machois moved the foot pedals to the front wheel. This made the hobby horses easier to ride, and more people began to try them out. They were even used in carousels at fairs. But with hard metal tires, the machines earned their nickname, remember what I said about quotations, bone shakers. So we saw hobby horses, and now they're moving the name to bone shakers, okay, in 1861. Now remember, as we're reading through, please identify the important parts. You're doing your annotations, you're underlining, you're doing all those things that you know what efficient champion readers do. So now we're going from 1861, we're not jumping up too far, to 1870. Okay, to 1870, so it's only another 9 years ahead. Since the pedals were directly attached to the bicycle's front wheel, each time the pedal went around once, the wheel went around once. So to go faster, you needed a bigger wheel, more distance for each pedal. Front wheels got bigger and bigger until they were 5 feet or 1.5 meters across. To save weight, the back wheel shrank. The fast, big-wheeled bikes became so popular that they were called ordinaries. Getting on one was a little out of the ordinary, though. You had to have a boost from a friend or a running start and then hope that the road ahead was smooth. Bumps sent riders flying over the handlebars, which was known as taking a header. Now notice how they put taking a header in quotes as well. Some of you are probably laughing right now because you probably thought to yourself, I've taken a header over my bicycle. So If you did in your life, then you're drawing similarities to some of the characters that we see in the story. That illustration, I mean, I don't know about you personally, but I would definitely not want to ride a bike like that. I'm definitely more prone to the bikes that we have in today's world. So let's jump from 1870 to 1881. How many years is that? Okay, again, make your tens. 1870, jump 10 to 1880, and then one more, so 11 years. Ordinaries were popular with adventurous young men, but older riders wanted a safer machine. They stuck to quadricycles and tricycles. Queen Victoria of England bought 2 trikes. They didn't have brakes, but who needs brakes when you're only going walking speed? Now, here's something really interesting that you can bring in from our math skills. Quadricycles. A quadrilateral. We haven't learned geometric shapes yet, but when we do, you're going to learn that a quadrilateral, it is 4 sides and 4 vertices. So how many wheels do you think a quadricycle would have? Now, a tricycle, tri, okay, when you hear the prefix tri, what does that make you think of? How many? Let's jump from 1881 up to 1885. So only 4 years. In a quest to make two-wheelers safer, along came the Rover, the first safety bike. It worked a lot like the one you ride today. Pedals turned a chain. The chain turned the rear wheel, which is the back. A larger gear ring in front and a small one in back meant that each push of the pedal turned the rear wheel several times. So the wheel didn't need to be huge. The new bicycles were fast, safe, and less expensive. But with their solid rubber tires, the ride was still pretty bumpy. So as you can see, as we are getting further and further along in years, the bikes start seeming to come a little bit more similar to ours. Some of you may have made up some predictions that may be coming true right now. Just to let you guys know, at this point we are on page 234, and we just jumped from the year 1885 to the year 1889, so just another 4 years. So you can see in the late 1800s, they're making really big leaps with the bicycle and how the engineering behind it. Okay, 1889. To give his son a more comfortable ride, John Boyd Dunlap wrapped a garden hose around the wheels of his tricycle. 3 wheels. Water-filled hoses did not work very well, but air-filled hoses were a success. The modern tire was born. How many people in here, raise your hand? Not in here, but you know what I mean. Have had a flat tire before. Okay, everyone, right? Anyone who's ridden a bicycle before has probably had a flat tire. So what do you have to do? You don't pump water into it, you pump air into it. Now we're jumping from 1889, and then notice how they put the 1890s with an S. So it's a plural, right? When you add an S, you make it plural. They're talking about multiple years. So the whole decade of the 1890s is what they're focusing on now. With safe, cheap, comfortable bikes, cycling became a national craze. Cycling clubs sprang up all over. Bicycle races were popular, especially 100-mile centuries. Cyclists also pushed to get roads paved. Dirt, gravel, and mud are hard on bikes. Doctors even worried about the possible effects of riding too much. The strain of balancing, for instance, might cause bicycle face. Great illustration, very funny illustration there if you have your My Book in front of you. Women, youth, and working people particularly enjoyed the new freedom bikes gave them. Before bikes, only rich people with horses could go out and see the country. Now, anyone could go. It's hard to ride in long skirts, so many women cyclists started wearing puffy pants known as bloomers. This started a fashion revolution. that finally ended the era of long dresses for good. So isn't that interesting how the invention of a bicycle actually changed fashion, women's fashion in the late 1800s. Very interesting. Now here's where, to me, you see a very interesting aspect of the story. So we're jumping from the 1890s all the way up to 1975. So basically, from the 1890s, not much has changed in this whole long period up until now. Because 1890s, let's just say we'll call it 1900, 75 years until we see something new here. And we're going to read about it right now. In the early days of cycling, many riders were hurt by pitching over the handlebars, or as we heard about earlier, taking a header. A few wore leather caps, which didn't do much to cushion the blow. But when biking got popular again in the 1970s, riders demanded good helmets that actually protected your head. Finally! Now, all of us know how important it is to keep the head safe, right? What's inside your head? Your brain, right? We need to make sure that that stays healthy. So we're on to our final page here, 236. And if you notice, it doesn't give us a year, it just says the future with a question mark. What does a question mark mean? It says 1896 safety bike, if you want to take a look there. And then let's read this last paragraph. Although bikes keep getting stronger and faster, the basic bike shape hasn't changed much in the last 100 years. It's a simple, efficient design that's hard to improve on. Today, in the United States, we get around mostly by car. But bikes are still the most popular vehicles on Earth. Who knows? Maybe someday they'll rule the roads again. Loved this story this week, guys. Really, really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. I do have a couple of questions that I posted into our discussion that I would like for you to answer. If you want to challenge yourself and you're with somebody else in your house, please try the collaborative discussion questions you can find on the next page. All right? Peace out. Miss you guys.